When I think back to all of my previous cuts, I remember that I was sort of obsessed with progress, with whatever measurement I was using at the time, which mostly consisted of using my weight on the scale in the morning, use some physique pictures, and I'm starting now to use measurements as well. But in my mind, I was so focused on just always maintaining a calorie deficit, always going lower and lower, and when progress stalled, to go lower and lower. And some days, this included deepening my deficit even though I didn't need to. Like, say, I remember just for some days, just for like shits and giggles, I would be like, I've done a lot of cardio today. Let me just like also fast for the entire day as well. And this happened a lot because I was obsessed with needing to progress. And so I think that you can surmise that this was unsustainable. And for the most egregious times, my sleep went to complete shit. My fatigue was super high, and I honestly felt like an old man. Like, I think that if I had a testosterone test, I would like have the levels of an old man. Like, that's how I felt. Just like garbage. Like, subhuman. And so recently, I've had a change in my views where I view sustainability as a much more valuable proposition in comparison to doing whatever you can to get that goal, right? Because when you have the mindset of doing every single thing you can to maximize your goal, it's inherently not going to be sustainable, right? Because anything that's unsustainable, you will do because it will help you. But if you were to take a sustainable approach, you can then continue to progress much further than the unsustainable route. I was reminded of the concept of maintenance. And I already knew what maintenance was, but I never really put two and two together in a way so that I could maintain for a bit, like as a break during my cut, and then start again. Like that just never occurred to me that I could do it as a thing. It was always, we need to push, and keep on pushing until I broke. And when I break, I regress, because then, once I break, the floodgates open, I can't resist, my willpower is just in the drain, and I regress. And then that begins another cycle of needing to cut again, and keep on cutting, and to not have that same regression, only to have it again. And so with maintaining in the middle of a cut as a break, or even at the end, it is much better than regression. Simply put, diet breaks are very useful because they allow you to recover from the diet. They allow your metabolism to come back up. And then when you go back into the diet, you feel you have more energy. You feel refreshed. Now, it's still going to suck because it's a diet, but it's not going to be like a nightmare. And so, if you're not convinced, I'm going to ask you, what is your end goal? Is your end goal to lose the weight as fast as you can and then regain it all and more? Is that your end goal? I don't think so. I think your end goal is to look amazing, to look great for a long period of time, to not just look amazing for like a week or a couple days. And to do that, you need to be sustainable. You need to take a sustainable approach so that you don't burn out, so that you don't get too tired, so that you don't get too fatigued, so that you don't quit. It's why yo-yo diets never work, because they're not sustainable. And then once those diets are done, everyone overcompensates their eating because they've been deprived of so much for so long, and then they regain their weight and more. So if we want to avoid that, be more sustainable, take a more sustainable approach, take breaks, go on some maintenance days, or even a couple of weeks. Take the diet slower, always slower. And you'll find that it's one, way more enjoyable, and two, it actually is a lot better in terms of fat loss. And so, what do my cuts look like now? For one, they're a lot less fatiguing, and they're just a lot less painful, and they're just a lot less stressful, honestly. Like, cortisol, the stress hormone, is literally like the antithetical hormone to testosterone. Cortisol increases your fat mass and decreases your muscle mass. It's literally the one hormone that you want to avoid at all costs. And when you take an unsustainable approach to dieting, your stress from being in that deprivation increases so much. And you'll find that even if you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to be losing a lot of muscle. A lot of muscle. And that is what happened to me. So I don't want that to happen to you. And two, I can keep the diet going for much longer than I expected as before, because if it's more sustainable, I can just keep it going. As compared to, this cut needs to be only this many weeks because I can't sustain it afterwards. I can't sustain it for any longer periods of time, right? Now if I could simply just keep on going, which results in more total fat loss, which is what we want. And finally, the rebounds after you finish the diet, the rebounds are not as bad anymore because you don't have the same just wanting to eat everything in sight type of hunger. You don't have that animalistic hunger anymore. Now, still, you're going to be quite hungry, right? But it's not going to be like, I'm going to eat your arm, your leg, and your face type of level. It's not going to be like that. And so because of this change, my cuts are a lot more successful. And yours will too. So if you've learned anything, drop a like, subscribe, comment, and turn on those notifications. And I'll see you next time.